Welcome to Fear Babes Podcast, a paranormal podcast founded and hosted by Fear fan members.
All thoughts and opinions are strictly our own, and we are not affiliated with any shows in any way.
My name is Burgundy.
My name is Madeline.
And we are
the Fear Babes. What up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Fear Babes Podcast. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Whoop. Whoop, whoop.
I don't know what that was. Just imagine like a bunch of party and strobe lights and just yeah. That's what we're bringing to the table today.
Is it? That's what we're manifesting that we're bringing to the table today.
Well, you definitely last night, I
went to the rodeo.
Yeah.
Listen, man.
By the time y'all hear this, though, she won't have gone that recently. But
yeah, it'll be like 2 weeks or so at this point. 3,
yeah,
what, two at least, right?
2, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So like the recap of my week really fast. So this week at work was really fucking stressful, and I don't want to talk about it. I'm over it, and I just want to move on. So and then me and Lindsay go to the rodeo last night, and because so every year like. The Tuesday after 4th of July, that weekend prior is when the fair and rodeo starts in Casper. And so I was like, I want to go to a fucking rodeo. So me and Lindsay went to the rodeo last night. Lindsay's one of my friends. And, I don't know, man, there's something about, call me a fucking patriot. I don't fucking care. There's something about being at a rodeo in Casper, Wyoming, and the entire stadium is singing the national anthem together. I teared up a little bit, I'm not gonna lie.
Honestly, when we were in Cody, yeah, it gave me kind of like cold chills.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, it was just really cool. Like, because they have the designated singer, right, obviously. And it was a dude last night, which I thought was cool, because usually every time I go, it's always a lady. Which, nothing wrong with that. It's just like, oh, that's cool. They found a guy to sing. And then, so he starts singing, and then, like, the crowd just kind of, like, a few people here and there, and then just, like, everybody started singing together, and, the sun is, like, starting to go down. I know you don't believe it, Mads, because it's only 7:30 here, but it was,
True.
And it's just, like, I don't know. It just hits you right in your patriotic heart a little bit. And I was like, so cute.
You know what's funny, though, is that, like, when I was in Wyoming, I was like, I don't think I've ever seen a rodeo here. And that's a fucking lie, dude. Like, my mom, she has been flaming my ass since I got home after I said that. Because she's like, literally every weekend that I am gone, there's a rodeo. But they're mostly junior rodeos. So I was like, what's the point in that? I don't want to go to that. I want to go to the big shit.
Right. It's just like every summer you come out here for like a solid like 4 days and we just go to the rodeo.
Just every night. Consistently.
Literally.
I'm sure there's other rodeos. I think there's one up the road that, there are ones that have like adults
right
primarily in it. But the ones that I've been seeing, like the signs in our little small town, which I guess I never paid attention to it before because I just never cared. But I don't know. All that to say is that I lied. There are lots of rodeos.
Like you said, it's just something was never really on your radar.
No.
But what I was going to tell you was, we went to the Cody rodeo. So the Cody, Wyoming, I've said this before on a podcast, I think, but Cody, Wyoming is the only place where they do a rodeo every single night all summer long. And so that rodeo, my aunt and uncle were telling us that a lot of rodeo athletes go there and they will sign up so that they can practice to get better. So and nothing was wrong with that rodeo. I think we had a great time. I mean, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but we had a great time.
Yeah.
But the one at the fair last night, this is a little bit more people more into their rodeo career. So like all the bareback bronc riders made it the whole 8 seconds.
Shit.
Yeah. It was a good rodeo. There was one bull ride that was like immaculate, and like the dude got highest score. Like he's the top highest score of the whole week because like tonight is the finals, I think. And so he got on the barrel, the barrel that the clown was hiding in, and he did a backflip off of it.
Fuck.
Yeah, it was
what
awesome.
What the hell?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That
Mhm.
truly is. So, like, the big leagues, in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It was cool.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't do anything last night, really. I feel like this week has just been so busy that I just wanted to veg out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been storming a lot. So getting in our new pool that we've had for only a week has been out of the question. So
Aw,
I
poopy.
know. Today's been a good so far. It's good. The radar's good for rain or at least storms today. Like we can handle rain, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, as far as storms go, it looks pretty good. So I think later on we're gonna get in the pool. I bought some floats and I don't know. I want to spend time in my pool. I want to play mermaids.
Okay, here's what I think we should do. Hold on. Sorry. Oh my gosh, I cleared my throat. So when I woke up this morning, I said something to Annie, and my throat was so scratchy and raspy sounding, or my voice, I mean. And I was like, no, I have to do a podcast. It
It
can't
doesn't.
stay this way. I know it got better, but I was like, I'm scared.
I know.
Okay, this is what we're gonna do, right? So I'm gonna find somebody with a private jet. I'm gonna fly to you. We're gonna play mermaids until probably, let's see, you're 2 hours ahead of me. So we can play mermaids till like maybe 6 o'clock your time, and then we're gonna fly back to Wyoming and we're gonna go to the finals rodeo.
Okay. That's funny. Okay.
How's it sound?
Sick.
Let's fucking do it! Okay.
I'm gonna find someone with a private jet. You probably could at the Casper Airport. Jeffrey Star.
Dude, if I show you my cool makeup looks that I've done in the past, will you let me borrow your private jet for the day?
We went to your makeup and meat shop, please,
You
sir.
weren't even there. You owe us. No.
Dude, I was so upset that Jeffree Star was not there. He is there all the time. He's always
listen,
doing TikTok lives. Like, are you fucking serious?
This weekend, I think, is his 1 year since he opened the shop, and he's doing like this whole big event. So you know how I took you to David Street Station?
Uh-huh.
So he found some major artist, music artist, not my type of music. I never heard of the dude. He's bringing them in. They're doing like this whole event, like he's rented out all the space, and they're having this big party for his 1 year anniversary for his store. And they're like, there's been postings, so like, Jeffree Star needs volunteers, and if you volunteer, and they do like 4-hour shifts, then you get like $150 in merch and a free gift bag at the end of it, blah, blah, blah. So.
Fucking do it.
Mm-mm. With what time, bro? I ain't got time for that shit.
Well, true. True. It seems as of recent, like, it's just been, like, I feel like I quote this Lady Gaga thing a lot, but it's like, club, another club. It's like, basically, just constantly all week. You know, we work full-time jobs, then we come home, we do more work that's not necessarily our full-time job related. Then we do like our own personal stuff, like we have a social life, and Bergie has a gym routine, which, by the way, me and my mom are officially finally joining a gym, and I'm excited.
Well, Matt, let me put you on something real fast, because I found it this week, because I was like, my week was so chaotic that I was like, I have to work out, because I'm telling you guys, I know I've said this before on socials and shit, but like, if you're stressed out, like, work out. Like, it honestly helps.
It's true.
I was like, I don't want to go. I don't want to drive all the way. Like, you've been to Casper. I didn't even take you to this far into town, but like, it's like 15 minutes to the gym, 15 minutes back home. That's just 30 minutes of just driving, and I don't want to fucking do that. So I downloaded the Nike Training Club app on my phone. And so far, everything I've done with it is free. But, Mads, let me tell you, these workouts, they're only 20 minutes long. Kicking my fucking ass.
Yeah.
Okay? I did abs on Thursday. Dude, I muted myself earlier, so you don't know this, but I sneezed. Fucking hurts. Like a bitch.
Ooh. Yeah.
I get out of my bed, and I was like, I hate my life.
That's how you know, man. That's how you know. It did its job.
Oh,
but yeah. I'll tell you, like, I forgot when it was, but I was like, one of my favorite things to do is dance, because it doesn't feel like it's a workout. So I'll like go on YouTube and I'll just do like these really like intense kind of dances
Yeah.
where they're just like getting into it.
Yeah, I've done that
And
before.
it's, to me, stuff like that's fun. It's not Zumba or anything,
No, it's
though
just like
I'm not a hater against Zumba, but it's just
learning
literal,
dances.
literal choreography from professional people. And it's just like, I don't even know the name. It's been a hot minute. But if you look it up on YouTube, I'm sure you'd be able to find a couple of good ones, those who are listening. But, me and Mom, we're wanting to get healthier. I think that, and I've discussed this on the podcast before, but like, there was a time where I was pretty bad, and, COVID happened, which I feel like a lot of people are like, oh my God. But it's true. So many people gain weight during COVID.
Dude, I gained weight during COVID.
Hell yeah. Like a lot of people did. Almost everybody that I personally know did. And so the problem is that, after COVID, I had a lot of anxiety issues, and that was unhealthy for me because like I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. My existence was just like panic, just nothing but like what Riley said when we talked to her, just like a squirrel.
Yeah.
Literally just zipping and zapping, and I can't leave my room. And even if I did, I would have a panic attack.
Panic. Another panic. Another panic.
All panic, no disco. Like,
yeah, literally.
Literally it fucking sucked. And so now that I'm in a healthier mindset, I had to let myself get to a healthier mindset before I could literally decide, okay, now that we're in a healthier mindset and we're not worried and anxious and micromanaging everything that you eat, everything that you touch, everything that you do, like it's healthier to try to get into like a routine like this one. So I'm finally at a place. My mom's finally at a place. So now we're going to do it together, and I'm proud of us for making the decision. So
yeah, I'm proud of you guys too.
Yeah. So that's what's happening.
Let's be virtual gym buddies. You tell me when you go to the gym. I'll tell you when I'm going to the gym.
Yeah, we might. My mom, she is a morning workout person, but the older I've gotten, like, I'm starting to think maybe I won't be.
Because I like to work out before bed, or at night, rather, because it makes me sleep good.
See, it doesn't, for me, it gives me extra energy, but
you do cardio. I do,
right.
Weights. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
Different.
I always feel like cardio would give me more energy if I did actually do a fucking hate cardio. But yeah, I don't know why weightlifting like just makes me tired.
I bet, that doesn't really surprise me.
Yeah.
I believe that. But anyway, so now that's going to be another thing in my routine. I'm pretty sure, and I keep saying pretty sure because I don't want to say something and then I don't end up going through with it all the way. But
gotta be a lady of your word.
Right. But I am really wanting to go back to school, and I feel like it's a now or never kind of thing, because like if I say, okay, well, I'll do it next semester, or I'll do it the next semester, then I'm like not holding myself accountable to my word. So
right.
I'm really wanting to just start school, try to finish my degree, and do the damn thing, brother, because I know school's not for everyone, and I have very strong belief systems of don't go to school unless you know exactly what you want to do.
Yeah, because otherwise you're just wasting money, honestly.
Wasting money. Like, literally.
You might as well just take a couple thou and just slide it on fire.
Exactly. Because if you, like I said, if you just don't know, don't do it. Yeah. Don't do it. There are people out there who are very successful without a degree, so it's not something that I feel you have to do, and don't listen to people who say you have to do it. But I definitely want to do it. It's a want. It's something I've always wanted, and it's something that you set goals for yourself. And I just want to finish my bachelor's degree. Otherwise, what was the point? and starting it, you know? So,
Yeah.
gonna finish that shit, be done with it, and I'll feel like that's one thing off my chest, if that makes sense. Not in a bad way, but more of like, okay, I accomplished this goal that I set for myself kind of thing.
Right.
So yeah. I don't know where that went. I don't know where that went, but I hope that that's a little bit motivational because, you know.
Goals are important, dude. And like,
yeah, man.
If we had more time, I'd get into it now, but we can do it later.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're running out of time, but yeah.
I was about to say, let's talk about why we're really here.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, when a different podcast, we'll lecture you more about having goals and having a better mindset and blah, blah, blah. We'll do a therapy session different time. Okay? Cool.
Yes. Okay.
So what are we doing today, Mads?
So today, we have a very special guest, Brandon from, should I say that part yet?
No, that's okay. I was going to ask him how to pronounce his last name.
Me too. Okay. So this week, we have another special guest. His name is Brandon. We have talked to Brandon before, not on the podcast, but outside.
What do we call it? We did the D at the time it was Destination Fear, so D fam after parties, and it would just be like after the shows were there, we'd get on Zoom calls and watch Disney movies together.
Exactly.
And Brandon joined us for the Santa Claus, I think.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Yeah. So, he is also a paranormal investigator. He has his own, group per se.
Yeah.
He's from Canada, so it's going to be a little bit of a different approach. So we're excited to sit down and chat with him. So that is what we're about to do. Take it away, Bergie!
Alrighty, babes. Today we are joined by Brandon Chiasson from Ontario's Most Haunted. Welcome, Brandon.
Hey, what's going on, ladies?
Oh, it's just Saturday morning.
Exactly.
Just doing our thing.
An early Saturday morning. I'm not usually used to waking up this early, so consider y'all lucky here. So,
oh, good. You fit right in then.
Right.
Because also same, but also we do it every time.
It
never gets easier.
Now.
What'd you say?
You're not used to it by now?
No. It never gets easier. Never, ever, ever. So Brandon, to start, can you give us a little bit of background into Ontario's Most Haunted?
Yeah. So this group originated with one of my best friends. Her name is Ashley. Absolutely love her like a sister. She was fantastic. We met at a Halloween party, which was also one of our mutual friends' birthday parties. And, we kind of got talking and we shared our love for everything creepy and paranormal. And we both kind of had, tons of experiences and wanted to figure out a way to kind of learn about why we had these experiences, see if we can end up having ways to go out and see if we can have similar experiences to what other people have had. So when we ended up doing that, when we talked about that, we decided to come up with a YouTube channel. And then COVID hit. And then here in Ontario, everything shut down for way too damn long. So it was very hard to end up getting into places. So we started off by thinking, we got to get content out early. So we started doing something called Ontario's Most Haunted podcast. And it was hilarious. We were smart asses to one another on there. We were really able to show our real selves to one another, to audiences and people who were interested in hearing about haunted locations in the Ontario area. And by the way, just for people to end up understanding, for clarification, this is Ontario, Canada. This isn't like Ontario, California or something. This is like the province/state, in case people don't know what a province is. It's a province of Ontario. So we would end up documenting and talking about a lot of places that were in Ontario on this podcast. Then COVID let up. the restrictions let up, and then we said, okay, now that we have an audience, we got to go. We got to we got to start getting investigations going. And so then after that, the snowball started rolling, and we finally started our YouTube channel of Ontario's Most Haunted. Now, fast forward to today, about 3 years later, Ashley unfortunately had to step away because apparently investigations were taking way too long for her to recoup from, because she's an empath, very good at it. And everything draws all the energy out of her very quickly. And she told me it takes at least a couple of weeks for her to fully recoup sometimes. Dang. So she said, I got to step away from that. So now I got a full new crew. I've got my mom involved, who actually got me into the love of the paranormal years and years and years ago as a kid. And then I now have like a behind the scenes crew and a bunch of post production. It's become a big project now. So in a nutshell, it started off with a conversation, a Halloween party, podcast, YouTube channel. Now there we go. Oh. So
the evolution of
That's sick.
Being a paranormal investigator.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. Well, since you said that your mom kind of got you into the paranormal stuff, like, can you go into a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so my mom would always, tell me stories of something that would happen to her at her the house she grew up in. Her house wasn't haunted per se, but the first time she ever ended up seeing a ghost or an apparition was right after her. I want to say it was her grandmother, right after her grandmother passed away. There was always a rocking chair that she would sit in every time she would end up visiting them. And they went to, this was a rocking chair that was at her house. And then my mom and her family were visiting her granddad. So there was a rocking chair that she would always end up sitting in. And she would always look out this window all the time in this rocking chair. It was just her little pastime to just relax. So one night, her bedroom faces this rocking chair, and she ended up looking towards it the day of her funeral. And she literally sees, as if it was solid, like you and I sitting next to each other. She literally saw her grandmother sitting in that rocking chair. And she said the creepiest thing was like it's like straight out of a horror film, even though it wasn't meant to be creepy, but she literally just like slowly turned her head towards my mom and then vanished. But when she vanished, the rocking chair just kind of moved a little bit, like started rocking a little.
Wow.
She would tell us the story all the time. And then we started watching the shows on Ghost Hunters with Jay Hawson, an awesome show. There was one other show we watched. I don't quite remember what the name of it is. Oh yeah, it's a Voldemort guy. And so I think people can know him as what did Chelsea call him? Kevin Spacey?
Oh yeah.
But we would watch that show all the time. And there was a show here in Ontario. I think the U.S. should have ended up adopting this because it was such a good show. They would send in kids between 11 and 14 as a competition show, go head-to-head with people to see who would investigate a location the best.
Serious?
Dead serious. This was on a cable network show. Kids. And some of the places they investigated were creepy as fuck. Like it was
so funny.
It was terrifying. And they geared them up in equipment. They had a goofy looking EMF detector. They had parabolic microphones. They had like a bunch of other stuff. And it was insane, some of the things that the kids ended up capturing. And that was always something that me, my brother, and my mom would always sit down and watch every time a new episode ended up coming out. So we really bonded over the paranormal as the years went on.
Could you imagine just, hey kids, you ever had a nightmare? Well, you're about to. Sends them in there.
You know what I thought about years later when it comes to this? not only did the kids actually want to do this, but their parents actually signed off
They
on
let
it.
them, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, this seems fine. You're in good hands, kids.
Could
Well-
you imagine?
We'll grab a Happy Meal after we're done. You
Shit.
Dude, Canada's wild and okay.
I know. We're an odd breed up here.
That's so funny because I just can't even like people down here in the U.S. would like, I don't know, heads would roll. I feel like if somebody was like, "Let's start a show where we send kids into haunted locations," like you damn well know the Karens would freak the fuck out about
Oh,
that.
Hell yeah, dude.
Absolutely. And so would all the churchgoers and all that. They'd end up saying, "You're possessing our children early. They're not even baptized," and
And then somebody in Canada's like, "I have a great show idea. Let's fucking do it."
But the funny thing is, like, I feel like now would be one of the perfect times to kind of start doing bringing the show back because of how crazy the interest has come along over the last couple of years in like
Right?
the paranormal area.
Yeah.
And so many, and you see all the conventions and how many youth are like going to meet these meet their influencers or meet the TV hosts. And I think if we were to reboot this, I'm sure, I mean, me and you ladies, if we were to reboot this, I would literally think this would be like one of the best times to end up doing it.
We should. How do we
It
make
would be
this
awesome.
happen?
I'll talk to a couple executives and see if they got connections over in the US.
Sick.
Fuck.
How do you feel, Mads, about being TV producers?
That'd be fucking crazy.
We're not taking
Good
the
luck,
Dakota
everybody.
route, though. We're not taking the Dakota route where we do all the work ourselves.
Yeah.
We'll outsource it. Ain't got time
Yeah.
for that.
You
That
guys are busy
man-
enough as it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure you are as well.
Oh God, it's a headache nowadays. This is why I had to get a crew behind the scenes. I had to do all this organizing of investigations, getting things lined up, paperwork, post production, all by myself for the longest time. And I feel Dakota.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It's
so
hard.
Do you have like mad respect for people like Dakota now? You're like, dude, I get
100%.
it.
Honestly, 100%. 100%. It's, some people think it's easy to just, go film things with two cameras, put something together, and then throw it up on YouTube. It takes me a good month and a half to whatever episodes we do. It takes me a good month and a half to edit it and put it all together, and even the pre-investigation process and getting the location locked in and talking to people and interviews. And it's just, it's daunting. It really is daunting, but it's rewarding in the end. I'm not complaining about it.
Yeah. We totally understand that for sure. Do you also work like a full-time job as well?
Yeah, I
Jeez.
manage a pizza joint here in town in my hometown.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, so I love doing that. It is a headache once in a while. Some of the people there who've been working there for 6 months and kind of act like they've been there for a week. It's got its ups and downs. It's got its headaches and whatever. But I once I end up coming back to my computer or my phone and I start watching, YouTube channels like Project Fear or Nuke's Top 5 or one of my new favorite ones called Walking Among Us that's based here in Ontario. Shameless plug to them. I just realized that. The paranormal is a good relaxation thing for me, but yeah, it's actually, you know what? It's funny. I actually had a paranormal experience while working at a pizza joint, and this is crazy. So I was watching an episode of one of Kevin Spacey's shows, and is that what we should refer to him now? Voldemort,
Yeah.
Kevin Spacey. What should we call him?
Either way, we know what you're talking about.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was watching one of Kevin Spacey's episodes, and they were doing an investigation at some museum in Vegas. They were doing something with Peggy the doll.
Mm-hmm.
And now, keynote here is I was watching this on my phone. That's a very important detail. So we're watching this episode, or I'm watching this episode in the office, and because it was dead, nothing was happening. I'm watching, and then the store phone rings. So we go to pick it up after 2 rings. It just went to a dial tone. So I'm like, okay, it's probably some wrong number or something. They hung up as we picked up. Put the phone down. One of my guys goes back to work. 5 seconds later, phone rings again. Dial tone. Hangs it up. And I said, okay, do me a favor, in case it's a prank call, stay by the phone and wait for it to ring again, and then pick it up as soon as you hear the ring. It rang again, picks it up immediately. Dial tone.
Weird.
Then the store phone is not what rings. The phone that I'm watching this thing on starts ringing. It says unknown number, unknown name. Pick it up. Dial tone.
What the fuck?
So weird.
I hang it up, and then it happens again on my phone.
No.
The same phone I am watching this thing on. And then I hang it up again, and then I'm like, okay, like, this is fucked up. I swear to God, this is insane. I didn't believe that this could happen, but it was happening. And so we started getting a little busy. I stopped the episode, and I go to help out one of my staff members. And then I looked at him and I said, because he knew I was watching something in the office, and I explained to him what was going on. And then I looked at him and I said, hey, haven't you realized since I've paused this episode, none of the phones have rang? And he's like, oh, shit. Yeah, that's kind of weird. It's kind of coincidental. And I said, I swear to God, if I go back into the office and I start watching this thing again and one of the phones start ringing, I'm not watching this thing anymore. I'm turning this episode off. I go back to the office. As an investigator, the investigator in me is like, you got to test this. You got to keep testing it to see if, it's legit.
Of course.
I started watching this thing again, and probably about 30, 45 seconds later, my phone again starts to ring. And I said, fuck it, that's it. I'm not watching this anymore. It was the same thing that came up, unknown name, unknown number. I said, screw it. And then I shut the episode off, and none of the phones rang since with that kind of ID on it.
So, like,
fuck?
Peggy the doll be trying to call you is what you're saying.
Probably telling me about asking me if I want to renew my car insurance or car warranty or something like that.
Have you heard of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ?
Yeah.
You're like, this is crap, dude. No.
Yeah. That was one of the weirdest electronic experiences not investigating that I have ever experienced.
Yeah, sounds weird. Like, what?
Well, actually,
so creepy.
Actually, if you want to hear a quick story that me, my mom, and my grandmother both witnessed, it was in her house. She used to have a big 3D crucifix and full color and everything hanging over her over the TV stand that was in her room. And this is actually probably the one thing that has terrified me the most, and it still sticks with me. I was in the kitchen with my brother, and my mom was, I can't remember what my mom was doing, but my grandmother ended up calling my mom over into her room. And she's like, all I hear from the room is like, oh my God. And then I said, what? And then my mom's like, come here. Like, this is before I wanted to do investigating, right? I was like maybe 12 years old at the time, 12, 13 years old. And I go into the room to look, and the actual crucifix where the ribs were was literally bleeding.
Oh my gosh.
It was legitimately dripping. You could see the shine on it. It was fresh.
Ew.
And it stopped dripping at that point, and it stopped. And I don't know how to explain it. It just stopped on the little statue or whatever the hell it was. And I remember going back like a year later, going to look at it, and like the stain and the dryness, it's still there. I don't know what my grandmother ended up doing with it. I don't know what my mom did with it. But seeing that with my own eyes was legitimately something out of a horror film.
Yeah, no kidding.
It was terrifying, and that still sticks with me today. It's one of the scariest things I've ever seen. And and the thing is, nothing had led up to that. Nothing had followed up after that. It was just a moment of of that. Like, I don't know if that's a form of stigmata or what, but it was scary. I've never seen anything like that before. Never heard of anything like that before until that happened.
Yeah. No thanks. I like have chills. That's creepy.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was gonna say, that's like life altering.
Yeah.
It's like, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
It's like horror movie type shit.
It's something that really legitimized my belief that something that you can't explain can happen in
Yeah.
this
No
real
kidding.
world. You know what I mean? So
Wild. Okay, well. Hopefully maybe
I like to see you segue from that one.
Yeah, I was like, maybe to lighten the mood. I don't know. I guess what inspired you to begin investigating?
Well, that was one of them.
Okay, well, I was like,
yeah. I think it was.
Yeah.
You know what? In a way, I think it was my. I think it was watching that show Ghost Trackers with the kids, knowing that my parents would not let me do this.
I want to do
And-
too, man.
I know, but it's something that always stuck to me. Like, I went to school for radio broadcasting. I did some radio work, did the podcasting and all that, but there was just something that didn't stick. Like, something was missing. Like, it just wasn't hitting the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm an adrenaline junkie. Like, I'll go with a friend of mine to the track and do like the drifting in his car. I'll go on the roller coasters. I'll go paranormal investigating, literally just for the thrill. I love like the adrenaline rush you end up getting from it. And so, watching that show, knowing that I won't be able to do that later on in life, knowing that this thing is still eating at me, it's still sticking with me.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I think, what ended up inspiring me to get into it. Now, of course, watching the the other shows and seeing how, quote unquote scary it can get. That also was like kind of like the inspiration for me to want to end up getting into ghost hunting and just to see, is this stuff legitimately real? Can you find all this evidence or whatever in one night? Can you live out your TV, dream? Can you live out the dream that you end up seeing on TV, hoping you would be one of them? And it started off with, mini investigations here and there. And I got that little itch. And then that's when me and Ashley started talking and say, we've got to do something for YouTube. We've got to do something as like some kind of series to kind of do what they do. And that's the root of the inspiration of why I started to end up doing this and leading into a YouTube channel.
Gotcha. I was gonna say you said you're an adrenaline junkie, and I'm like pretty sure I would be too if I watched a statue start bleeding for no reason.
That was adrenaline and panic, and
At the same time.
and a soon after trip to the washroom because I was definitely shitting myself after that. So
throwing water in your eyes. Is this real? Did I actually see that?
Fuck. I would just be screaming. Fuck.
Oh, I bet you were. I'm surprised my mom and my grandmother were as calm as they were. It's like they've seen this before, but they really hadn't. So I don't know if they're just they're wired different. They're trying to be put on a brave face, or
built different.
Built for
Literally.
tough Ford. Yes.
So, while you're, investigating, do you have a favorite tool or investigation method?
I started to do this one little experiment to see if it would really help kickstart any activity. This works best in like an indoor location. We would have a big giant speaker. And I found this thing on YouTube. It's like a vibrational humming, a sound that goes on for like 8 hours. Obviously, we're not going to play 8 hours of it in an investigation. But what I would do is I would end up starting this, video or this sound, pump it through the speakers, crank the thing up to the point where you can feel the air like thickening up, because that's how much vibration is going through the entire room that you're in.
Why?
And we want to try and make this the most central room of the property. And so we would pump that out. We would start talking to the spirits or whatever is in there. We'd start, saying what our purpose is being there at this time, saying, we want to hear your story. We want to speak to you. We want people to know that you exist in the afterworld. We want people here to know that they're safe working here if it's a business. And we have had very high rate of success doing that. I think the nights that we've done that, we've gotten our best evidence. So that's like a little made up tool that I use. I love the SB7, real-time communication. Love using that, and then I think I have a soft spot for like your basic digital recorder, because that's the tool that I caught my very first evidence from, and I think I was like 15, 16 years old doing it. I walked around a forest not very far from my house, and there were rumblings that there was like an Indian burial ground or somebody had been killed there and, buried and whatnot. So as a kid, as a teenager, and as the adrenaline junkie, I go out to kind of see, hey, is this legit? So I'm walking around the forest by myself, just have this thing going. I don't even talk. I just let this thing run. And then I come home to play it back, and just randomly in the middle of the forest. I wish I kept this EVP because I would have sent it to you guys. But very clearly in the mic, all you end up hearing is, "I don't want to die."
Oh, shit.
And it's almost in that exact tone too. Like, it was so clear. It was like right at the mic, as if it was like he was like begging me to say. I could clearly tell it was a guy. And it was like he was begging me to not get killed. Like, he was asking me for help. I didn't know what to make of that when I ended up playing it back, but that gave me all the chills in my body. But I was super excited. I'm like, holy shit, I just got this, blah blah blah. And but I feel bad because, like, and I'm sure other investigators can end up feeling this way too. If you hear a message like that on a digital recorder, that's some cases that's well after you've caught the voice. You can't do anything about it. It's like, and in their mind, it's like, you're ignoring them, and that's where I feel the sympathy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I love the SB7 Spirit Box. Whether you try the Estes method or you're just doing it as you're solo in a room and want to try and end up communicating with whatever, at least it's real time, and you can end up hearing it in real time and can end up reacting to what it is that they're saying. So just anything that involves, true communication, is probably my favorite tool. So SB7 digital recorder, those are my favorites, 100%, hands down.
Nice.
SB7 for sure is one of my favorite. I mean, I haven't ever used it, unfortunately, but the way I have seen it used in TV shows like on Project Fear and other shows that I used to watch as well. But it's definitely something that when me and Bergie eventually one day do investigations, I want us to invest in that. We gotta get one, yeah. We have to, man, because that's...
I'm surprised you haven't already.
I think it's just hard. Yeah. We're so far away. And it's like, it's expensive to fly to one another. And so, any location we go to, we're going to have to probably fly or at least drive hours to. So,
right.
Or meet each other.
And sometimes even the booking of the locations are expensive as hell too.
Yeah.
Right.
So
it's like, if we could just get in with somebody else, that'd be great. Thanks.
It's not. Hey, hint, Dakota, Alex, Chelsea, Tanner, you know these people well enough now. They're hinting at something.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I was drinking coffee when you said that, and I almost spit it out my nose.
Well, that's attractive.
I know.
I know, right?
That's what we're about, is being real on Fear Babes podcast.
Oh yeah,
It's true. It's true.
the Fear Babes are a 10, but they spit coffee out their nose. So
Yep.
Exactly.
Brought me down to at least a solid 7.5 for a minute.
I'll give you a little bit of credit. I'll go 7.75. How about
All
that?
right, thanks.
Hell yeah, brother.
We might be the Fear Babes, but we're not always babes. No.
Exactly.
That's what I tell myself in the mirror at first, and then I have some people in reality just come in and really, knock me down and say, no, you're not. You're that mirror is lying to you.
That's just because people are rude, though. Like,
Yeah.
Or honest.
People are mean.
you could say that, but I feel like a lot of times people are just projecting how they feel internally onto other people. It never really has much to do with you.
This is turned from Fear Babes to psychology sessions with.
Yep.
Hell yeah, brother. We do this all the time.
We're good at that.
Actually, when you hear the beginning of your episode, our introduction, we actually had a psychology session. Like,
Ooh.
so
we gotta
if
wrap
it's-
it up because
Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna have to lay down on a couch and just listen to your thoughts and see if it
Hell
helps
yeah.
me in any way.
that's why we were late. Brandon, I was like, we're gonna be like 5 minutes late because we got off on a little tangent there, and we're like, oh shit, we should probably.
Hey, tangents. From what I've heard, tangents are a regular part of your show.
Yeah, it wouldn't
Yeah.
be
So-
the Fear Babes podcast without one. So.
Exactly.
There you go. Exactly.
That's so funny. Yeah, so how do you feel about that? No, I'm just kidding.
I'll wait for the next session.
Okay. We'll try to squeeze another one in here somewhere. Let's see. What one of our questions could I ask you that would lead us into therapy? No, I'm just kidding. So, how do you differentiate between what's real evidence and what might not have been paranormal?
Yeah, that's lots of basically the way I look at it is paranormal investigating is a controlled science experiment, and when you're trying to end up getting evidence, you talk to people who have had these experiences. You think about what they've experienced and you ask the questions, who was around at this time? Has this and how did this occur? What was the lead up? Could there have been any logical reason for it to happen? And so you go from, and then when you go in to investigate and then something actually happens that relates to what they end up saying, you say, okay, where was this person standing? Where was this person standing? Where was I standing? Are there any vents in the room? Is a window open? You start knocking down, common sense denominators. Once you've knocked down, the most common sense items off your checklist, then you end up going into, okay, can we now recreate this with ourselves? Can we go into the area where let's say it's a sound we ended up hearing that was very odd and we have to look into it further. Can we go over there and recreate it ourselves? If this is something that we can end up recreating ourselves, there could be a logical reason for why something may have happened. If we try so many times with our own physical selves to recreate this and we still can't, then we chalk it up as either paranormal or unexplained. And something, the simplest of things can take 10 minutes for us to break down and try and recreate, because we don't want to end up putting something out there. Like, the way I look at it is, we're all believers, but once we end up going into an investigation, we become skeptics.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to look at it that way. Otherwise, we're going to end up freaking out and then having something end up happening, and we'll be like, oh my God, like that's paranormal. That's, oh my God, that was so scary, blah, blah, blah. And really it could have just been like a raccoon running around on the top, roof or something. It's one of those things where you really have to end up taking your time and breaking down everything. And when it comes to even photographs or video, that takes even longer, because then you see, okay, let's say it's an orb or it's some kind of ectoplasm that's floating around on the screen. How can you differentiate that from dust? Well, you have to end up knowing, okay, dust usually travels in a very constant rate of speed. It goes in a very direct direction, and same with, all the other dust particles you end up seeing on camera. But if there is something that goes against the grain, or if there's something that does not move like the other ones, or it's slower than the other ones, or let's say there's no dust at all night, but you catch that little light there, those are things you end up taking into consideration. And then you go into, some people might not have the capability, but you go into your video software, you brighten up the picture, you see if it was something that was like, an appliance that has a flashing light on there, and you go into a big rabbit hole. But sometimes you have to do that in order to differentiate whether something is legitimately paranormal or whether it's something that could be easily, logically and naturally explained. It takes time. Like it's a lot of hard work to truly investigate. And I think there's a difference between, ghost hunters and paranormal investigators. Ghost hunters go out to hunt for the experiences.
Right.
Paranormal investigators literally go in and say, okay, this is happening. Why is it happening? How can we recreate this happening? And if we can't figure it out, then we have caught something paranormal. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but for me personally, that's, how we try to end up differentiating what is paranormal and what is not. It's just something happens, bam, it's a big science experiment it turns into.
That's cool, though. I like how you said that you're believers, but when you go into it, you have to be skeptics.
Yeah, I think it's super, super important to, especially when you're doing a YouTube channel, and you want to try and present real paranormal activity, you have to go into that mind frame. Otherwise, people are not going to take it seriously.
That's very true.
Well, it's like, are you going into it to show people that there is the possibility of these things, or are you going into it just to have a good time?
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. Like, we want to have fun with what we're doing. We want to go in and have a good time, and we want to have these experiences. But at the same time, we don't want to kid ourselves,
right?
And we don't want to look like fools who are yelling and screaming at the first sight of something happening, and then not diving in deeper to why it ended up happening, unless 100% for sure. Without a shadow of a doubt, no need to diving in further, that something legitimately happened. That's one of the more scarier things. Like if something has fallen or a chair has moved right in front of you or something like that, and you absolutely know there's no possible way. That's different. But, you have to have the actual evidence to show that happened. And it's not just some off camera. You know what I mean? So
yeah, definitely. So kind of switching gears a little bit, but not really at the same time. What?
It's all paranormal related.
Right, exactly. So what is your favorite location that you have investigated thus far?
My favorite location. So there's a place that is just outside of Windsor, Ontario. It's about 45 minutes away. And for those who are in the States who are listening, it's also another way of saying it's 45 minutes from Detroit on our side of the border. It's a small town in Amherstburg called, the hell was it? Gordon House. That was probably the most active location when it comes to physical anomalies that were taking place. And when I say that, I mean like, noises that are being made or you can feel atmospherical changes in whatever room you're in. It was one of the most impressive things. So we were doing a walkthrough, and we always do this during the day because we kind of want to set the tone early with our investigations with whatever, spirits may be in there. We want them to know early that we're coming in later in the night, but we're learning about what they have done to either guests or employees there. So we're walking through, and there was one room where a woman used to end up having a desk, and she says that, constantly there was like she felt like the wind of somebody like walking behind her, and this thing was in a corner, so there's no way anybody could end up going in behind her. So she's telling me this story, and then we're just like making small talk. I'm just doing like a baseline reading of the area, and all of a sudden we hear a knock in a room that absolutely nobody was standing in. So again, as soon as we end up doing that, I heard that noise. I know that there's a patio on the other side. So I'm thinking, okay, you were in clear sight. Did you see anybody walking back and forth in the window? She told me no. And I said, okay, did we all hear that noise? Yes. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go in and I'm going to try and replicate to see where this noise had come from. And this noise came from a windowsill that was completely, nothing was around it. Nothing made this noise. I'm like, okay, that's really weird. So I go to speak with another woman who ended up working there, who still worked there, and was telling us a story about this room where there's an office space, used to be a bedroom. And apparently a child had ended up passing away in the room due to some kind of pneumatic illness. So she's telling us the story, and she says that one of the people who used to end up working there, who will not work in this building anymore because of what she experienced, she's sitting at her desk, and randomly as she's working at her desk, the desk lifted and moved 6 inches away from her.
What?
So I'm like, are you like fucking kidding me? That's creepy as hell. So I'm like, okay, I want to try and recreate this. I want to see if we can end up antagonizing whatever it is here to kind of move something out of the way of where this desk used to be. So I put it like a folding chair right in the middle of the room where this desk used to be, and keep saying like, okay, are you can you do something to this chair? Can you move it out of the way if this used to be your bed? Nothing happened to the chair, but again, we heard I was at a windowsill, and I was going to say, I'm going to knock on the windowsill. Can you respond back with the similar knocking pattern? Now this footage is on YouTube, and I zoomed in on my hand to show people that I had not knocked on this windowsill yet, and this thing was already, whatever was there, it was already knocking before I even started.
Wow.
Broad daylight, everybody heard it.
Shit.
Later on in the night, this was actually the last investigation Ashley did with us. We were trying to convince her to go into this room by herself. She wasn't doing it. She wasn't having it. I tried to explain to her, saying that this was when a woman was in the room, so I think the woman should go in there to replicate it, and she just wasn't having it. So we were like bickering back and forth about it, and all of a sudden she got a mini scratch on her forehead, and it was kind of like a bruise, like a bumpy bruise type thing, and it showed through the makeup that she was having on her forehead. So I said, okay, now this is definitely a sign saying you need to go in there. You have to go in now. So she went in, and me and my mom ended up sitting outside of the room. We can hear like her just randomly go, "Ow!" And we look at the footage, and there's like a big red mark on her shoulder blade.
Oh my gosh!
Where she literally got like hit or punched by somebody. She's like, "I need to step outside. I can't do this." So
Oh my gosh.
We take a break, and of course I'm like, okay, we got our hot spot. We need to get back into this room. We know something's definitely happening in here. We need to continue to dive deeper into it. So so we go back in there. She sits in the center of the room. We try to start a EVP session and place a K2 meter in front of her, because she seems to be the catalyst of where everything is seemed to be drawing to. Hence her being I consider a conduit. It's the best way I can explain her. So I start asking questions, and I'm saying, I'm like, Ashley, ask something. She's not listening to me, and I'm like stomping on her on the ground, or I'm like, Ashley, and she's just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm like, hang on, are you okay? And she's like, I'm like feeling really, heavy right now on my chest. And as soon as she says that, the K2 starts spiking all the way.
Wild.
And then I go to take the K2 around her because she feels like something is completely around her. And then we hear more knocking from in the room. But later on, we find out that there's like a little medallion that's on the door. Ashley, when she was doing her solo session, asked to end up playing with the metal that was on the door that was on the inside of it, like inside of the room that she's in. So we hear the knocking from the door. I go outside. So does Maureen. She looks around and there's nothing. So I always tell the crew, I said, until we're done cleaning up, don't stop rolling the cameras. Keep filming everything because you never know what might come up or what might happen. So on camera, when I was taking one of the people who was running the place, I'm like, so this was here. I'm just going to leave that there for now. That's okay. Open up the door right away. And then I realized that there's a little plastic thing on the other end of the door that made the exact same sound of this knocking noise. It's like a little Christmas bell type thing that's hanging from the handle of the door on the other side of the room that we were not in. And it made the exact, I pulled it away and it made the exact same knocking noise as if somebody or something was playing with this thing on the other side of the door. That kind of caught our attention. God, I can go on and on about this place. Like we had so many experiences in there. But yeah, it's a place called Gordon House. It's in a town called Amherstburg, War of 1812 town. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, and one of the creepiest places I've investigated.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, a lot happened. Lots and lots of stuff have happened there. So
Is this location, is it one of the videos on your YouTube channel?
yes, it is. It's the most recent one. I had to take a hiatus for about a year because, like I said, Ashley had to leave. I had to put a whole new crew together. So we are currently out filming now already. We've got 2 locations under our belt. Nothing's been on YouTube yet, but this is that place I talked about is the most recent episode.
I'm gonna have to check that out later.
Yes, you do.
I know, right?
Well, I actually started watching it yesterday, last night, after I got home from the fair, but then I was like, I'm tired, and I went to bed.
I see where I fall under the list of priorities.
Oh, sorry. Sleep to be important. Otherwise,
Right,
who knows what
point.
this podcast would sound like?
Right.
Well, again, I'm a little. This was at the time I usually end up waking up at too. So I mean, like, I don't know if this Diet Coke's really doing anything for me right now. But you know what? It's crazy. I've done podcasts before. This is right up there with probably one of the ones I was most looking forward to doing, just because you probably don't remember, but I've met you through Zoom a couple years ago. Oh, I'm
Don't
sure
worry.
you remember that.
Yeah, we mentioned it before we got you on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I remember how hilarious you were, and then as soon as you ended up, welcoming me to do this, I'm like, okay, I'm super excited. You guys are right up there with my appearance on Conan O'Brien's podcast too, just so you know.
Well, first of all, thank you for saying
Yeah.
that. Second of all, I was going to ask you, I was going to be like, who's more fun, us or Conan?
Well, you know what? Yous are a little nicer and not roasting me.
I know. I
as
listened
much
to
as
your
Conan. So
I listened to your Conan one, and he was just like, I was like, damn, bro.
But that's him.
Yeah,
That's
just
Conan
Conan for you. I was
Yeah.
like,
So, but I think he had a skepticism about him too. So he doesn't fully understand what it is that we do. But I'm still trying to. I've been talking to one of his producers in emails, and part of his travel show, I'm still trying to get him to do something with
To
us. Him
investigate with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. He said he would.
He said he would. So, I'm holding out hope. I don't know how much this podcast will help encourage that to happen.
How
to
do we
manifest,
get Conan to listen to Fear Babes?
Exactly.
pass it over to one of his kids. Maybe his assistant Sona or David would listen to it, and they're like, "Hey, here's a fun little shindig for you to listen to." And okay, it probably won't happen. I'm putting some into existence that might not happen. But we'll see.
You said you're communicating with his producer, right? So send it over, and we'll just be like,
"So I do have an."
Hey, Conan.
You're right.
Yeah, send it over to them. Be like, listen to this, and they'll be like, "We got you, Conan. You should investigate with Brandon."
Wink, wink.
Nudge, nudge, nudge.
You hear that, Conan? get your shit together.
Damn.
So, do you have a dream location that you would like to investigate?
Ooh, a dream location. You know what? I did have a dream location, and did. And I do want to say this because I think it is very relevant to Project Fear. I don't know if you guys caught the live with Jason Hawes and the now former members of the Conjuring House.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that everything that has come to light about that, from what I saw in the live, and the lies from the owners and everything that had gone on there, that was a dream location. But now I honestly want nothing to do with them.
Fair enough.
The other place that was also on my bucket list was here in Ontario, and it's called the Keg Mansion. The Keg is a chain restaurant. It's primarily prominent here in Canada, but there are a few locations in the States, and it's like a big steakhouse, like fancy steakhouse place. But this is in like a massive, like late 1800s mansion. It's like something out of The Shining. There have been reports of kids like riding a tricycle up and down the hall in the upper level. People have seen a woman hanging in the main foyer. Men's and women's washrooms. There's somebody there that kind of like peeps into stalls there and starts like playing with the faucets and banging on the doors in there. Just everything you can end up thinking of out of a horror film, it takes place at this location, and it's right in downtown Toronto. So that's one of the places that's on my bucket list. It's one of my dream locations. And then the other one is also in Toronto, called Casa Loma, which is a beautiful looking castle. It's not ancient looking castle. It's not like Victorian style, but it's huge. It's massive. And very haunted, especially in the tunnels there. So that's another location I would love to end up investigating at some point. But I know we got to get a little more notoriety and a little more legitimacy, I guess, before we can end up doing that. But those two are definitely on my bucket list.
Nice.
Sick. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll look into those places. Okay, so do you have any advice for anyone looking to get started, like investigating and stuff?
I would say be open-minded. Don't go in and try and be what you see on TV, because your personality is going to be different from theirs. Your style is going to be different than theirs, and especially if you're going to be investigating and putting something on TV, or on YouTube rather, people can see right through the screen whether you're trying too hard or not. Just be yourself. Have an understanding as to how the paranormal works before you do it. Also, don't go in thinking that if you antagonize what might be a demon, then nothing's going to happen, and if you do want something to happen, you're not going to be ready for what might come out of it. And you have to know how to deal with these kind of situations. You have to know what you're doing and what you're going into. Otherwise, you're putting yourself in some kind of danger or whatever, whether it be immediate or, having an attachment that ends up following you for a few days later. It's something you have to really educate yourself on how to do. So, in short, I say educate yourself, know what you're getting into, but most of all, be yourself. Don't try and be any other investigators that you end up seeing on YouTube or on TV. I think that's the biggest thing I can end up sharing with people who want to get started.
I like that, because a lot of times people, like, instead of letting people inspire them, they just straight up copy them. And that's not always, like, do your own thing, man. Like, make it your own type of situation,
Well,
exactly.
Exactly. I mean, like, it's good to have, somebody to look up to and who to, pick little bits and pieces from, but, just don't, like you said, don't become them.
Yeah.
Don't be the copy. You're not going to end up going anywhere with that. If you want to have fun with it, sure, have fun with it. And then the dog in the background agrees with me when I say
Shout out Diesel.
Exactly.
just be yourself. Don't be anybody else. And that's not just an investigation thing. That's a life thing.
Exactly, dude.
Just be legitimate. Be yourself. Don't try too hard. And people will respect that, and people will appreciate what you do more when you end up when you're more legitimate and honest and
original
and authentic. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Round of applause, guys.
Thank you.
That hits little close to home.
I'm bowing.
So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it does for sure.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Oh, who's the therapist now?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's see. Do you have anything you want the listeners to know about Ontario's Most Haunted? Like, where can they find you and stuff like that?
Yeah, so you can end up finding us through YouTube. Literally just type up Ontario's Most Haunted, where I believe the first channel that ends up coming up on there. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on the Tickety Talk, and just type in official OMH or Ontario's Most Haunted. You'll end up finding our socials. It's very easy. On Facebook, I think we're the ones with like 4-point-something thousand followers. Instagram, we don't have very much because our account got hacked years ago, so we're trying to rebuild that.
Rude.
I know. And then TikTok, I think it's official OMH. You just find us up on there. That's what we'll post, like bloopers or little fun, weird, quirky things that ends up happening, whether we're at like festivals or something that happens during the investigations. Like just recently, we filmed at a pioneer village, multiple buildings, and we tried to get drone footage. And one of the guys who I brought on as an investigator decided to crash the drone into a tree, so we filmed him. we filmed that. We got that impact up there, and we also filmed him trying to go up in the tree and retrieve the drone, and just little fun, quirky things like that. We will post. So we post our trailers up there, but also the fun stuff that we do behind the scenes. So follow us up on those, and Facebook to end up getting us our updates. And then, like I said, of course, YouTube, where you can end up watching our full official episodes as well.
Cool. So everybody, you guys should definitely check out Ontario's Most Haunted.
Exactly.
So our last thing that we like to ask our guests when they come on is if you have any questions for us.
Have any questions for you? You know what? I mean, the one question I do have for you is that's always interested me when I started listening to this podcast is I know Project Fear was, the idea behind doing this, of course, but what really pushed you guys to say, you know what, this is legitimate, we might actually get some listeners, why don't we give it a shot? What really pushed you guys to end up doing that?
That's a great fucking question.
It is a great question. Well, I always like to say that it was an idea that I had in 2020, actually. Literally down to the name Fear Babes. Like, I remember thinking about it. Because I remember I suggested Fear Babes. And Bergie was like, fuck yes, that's it. That's it. That's everything. And so ever since then, I've just kind of, I know that I wanted to do a podcast. I'd always wanted to. Bergie had always wanted to. Mm-hmm. And because of that, we were like, okay, so why don't we start a podcast about the show that brought us together? Because we obviously did not know each other prior to watching Destination Fear. We met on Twitter, of all places, years ago when all of this started in 2019. So we were like OGs, like
right
from the beginning. And so our friendship just kind of grew from there. And once we had met in the middle and we're like, I do think this podcasting thing would be really cool, and talking about Project Fear would really make it special for us because it's how we met. And so we didn't, I mean, obviously we put a lot of thought into it about how we were going to do it because we're so far apart. And we're like, how does this go about? So we spent a lot of months researching, purchasing mics, doing a lot of tests. And then eventually we were like, all right, we got this. The whole idea, we ironed everything out. And then, you know, now we're here. We talk about Project Fear, but we also talk a lot about, you know, our lives. Like we want our listeners to be able to feel like they're in the room with us. Like we're just having like a nice casual chat.
100%. I feel
you know,
that.
feel like they're with us, you know, and yeah, I mean, Bergie.
Yeah.
I was like,
Your
did
turn.
I say everything?
Yeah. To elaborate more, it's just like, I know it seems unrealistic, but like we want to be friends with everybody, right? And not in the sense that like I think I can be friends with everybody because, you know, not everyone is for everyone, but we don't want people.
Oh, trust me, I got a lot of exes in the past that have definitely proven that right. So,
You're like, yeah, it's not working out. But we don't want people to feel like they're alone in this world, and we want people. We want to be relatable, and you know, we mentioned earlier, we're all about being authentic and keeping it real. I think honestly, when we started this, we didn't, like Matt said, we both of us had previously been like, you know, I want a podcast someday. Like, you can ask my mom. Like, I've been bugging her for years. I'm like, Mom, we should make a podcast. And I'm like, I don't know why. I don't know why I think people will want to listen to us, but I do. So let's do it. And she's like, what we can talk about. And so when Mads was like, dude, we should make a podcast, I was like, please, for the love of God, can we make a podcast?
finally, somebody.
It's not like I think people want to listen to me, but I just don't ever want people to feel alone, really. And then we got, like I said, we got bit by the podcast bug. Like we walked into it with no expectations. Like we're gonna be lucky if 5 people listen to us, right? And not to toot our own horns, but we've only been at it for a year, and I feel like for a podcast, we've grown pretty rapidly in the course of a year.
Yeah.
And so now we're like, man, people are actually like, you know, sometimes we get DMs like, you said this in this episode and it really hit home for me. And it's something that, like, if we can help one person out, then I feel like we've done our jobs.
Yeah.
Not that it's our job, but like, it's kind of like if we're helping somebody.
You're contributing somehow.
Yeah.
To somebody. Yeah. And I honestly, you know, that's one of the things that I had noticed with you guys. And I definitely think what you're doing and what you're trying to create is paying off. I really do feel like you're really doing something good. And you know, from somebody who's been involved with, you know, radio and seeing how like radio works and everything, you guys, there's a difference between a radio announcer and a radio personality, and you girls have personality, and you do everything you can to show it to everybody. And like you said, you are very authentic, you're very relatable. You can easily have somebody end up listening to it and said, I can be best friends with this person, I can chill with this person, we can talk all day. You have that welcoming inclusive vibe about you through the way you do your podcast and the way you present it. So, you know, keep doing what you're doing. Keep pushing hard at it. I know it's a lot of work, but, you know, like you said, or like you alluded to, it's paying off, and there's a reason for that. You know, people can keep working hard at something and it just not pay off. You guys are doing something that is really real, and honestly, I congratulate you guys on the success that you've had and everything that you're doing. You guys are really you're really kicking ass in this, and I can only end up seeing it going upward from here. So just keep at it. You guys are doing awesome.
Honestly, I appreciate that so much.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
But,
okay.
You know,
make me tear up.
Exactly. But, you know, I mean, like you said, and like I said earlier as well, is that, you know, this podcast, we wanted it to be like a campfire talk where we're like, in the same room, hanging out, talking about the paranormal, talking about our lives, talking about whatever is going on, just trying to be inclusive and have it be like a broad thing. You know, I feel like we've made like a lot of good little friends from this podcast as well, because everybody who comes on, you know, we've met so many awesome people, like outside of Project Fear. I get it.
Right.
You know, they're awesome. They're great people all the way around. But we've had so many amazing guests and people and Fear Fam come on. And it's just been so fun to be like, I think everyone's my friend. So I'm like, we're all friends.
you have golden retriever energy, as they say on the, on the dating apps.
That's so
exactly.
funny.
We're all friends. So we all hang out in the campfire.
It's cool though, because awesome. Like we had the obviously this all started from the Fear Fam community, right? But I feel like we're kind of building our own community now.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't know what we're gonna call everybody. We've just been saying babes forever because we're fear babes, but we might have to get our own community name.
I think after I've been on this podcast, you might have to end up changing your idea on that one, because I don't think I qualify as a babe. So
that's not true. Everybody's an honorary fear babe, okay?
A dude babe.
A dude babe. All right,
dude babe.
I'll take that.
What could be?
It's a Dave.
What could guys be? A Dave. All right.
Or a bood.
A bood.
Oh god.
But yeah, essentially it's just that. And then I don't know, this season we were just like, we want to talk to more paranormal investigators. Like each paranormal investigation group, it kind of seems like they have their own like solid fan base. And so we're like, how cool would it be if we could like intertwine some of them?
Yeah.
That would be awesome. And that's what I think the paranormal community should have been from the beginning, with no drama, no egos, no none of that. Just everybody, and I'm not, putting anybody into any category or any one person in a category, but
right.
It's, just none of that. It's supposed to be very open, where people kind of work together to show that these things exist and share stories with one another.
Right.
And do it in a comfortable, inclusive, and safe space environment.
Right.
Where there's no judgment. And I think that's what this should have been from the beginning. And I think, doing something like this podcast could, slowly start to get the ball rolling on that.
That would be awesome.
I really don't understand like the pitchforks and shit against other like investigators, and because the beauty of the paranormal is that there are no answers. Everybody's just out here having a good time, trying to explain as best as they can what they find. And it's just like, where is the drama coming from? Like, I don't get it, but it's not my thing.
Well, I do have an idea of where it's coming from. And it is all, it's ego and popularity based.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from.
Definitely.
That's why you got to stay grounded and be your own person and show people that that way, especially if you're doing a YouTube channel, doing it or a podcast, you got to let people know the way you are on the screen or on the mic is exactly how you're going to be in person
when someone meets you. Yeah. The other thing I was going to add too is it's like, for one reason or another, everybody that is into the paranormal has the same peak interest, right? Like the unknown intrigues you. So and it doesn't matter what caliber you're at, like if you're just like interested in watching other people do it because it's interesting to you, but you don't have the funds or you can't or you won't go investigate yourself for whatever reason, all the way up to the top where there's people out here doing it as a job, right? It's like, we all have the same peak interest, so why bash on each other? Because, I see a lot of comments like, why don't you go out and investigate yourself? Like,
you might as well look, I was going to say, you might as well look in the mirror and just start bashing yourself in the mirror if that's the case.
Yeah. It's like, it doesn't matter what it is. We all have this commonality at the end of the day and various different levels. So why not just create a cool community where everybody can, learn from one another and grow from one another?
1,000% agree.
Exactly.
And that's on facts. No, I'm just kidding.
It's on the record. Nobody can change that. It's set. It's in stone. It is the 11th commandment. They're chiseling that into a stone right now.
It's been put into the universe, so now it's there forever.
All right, guys. So we hope you enjoyed our interview with Brandon. Brandon, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us today.
Yeah, thank you.
It was a blast. It was hilarious, and can't wait to end up chatting with you guys more off mic.
Yes. I wish I had been recording just then because
That would have been funny.
Well, because earlier we mentioned it in the intro, and I was like, yeah, I did an ab workout, and when I sneeze, it just really kills me. And then, so right before we started recording this outro, guys, I sneezed, and I was like, my abs! So, I have them. You just can't see them. They're still in hibernation. But they're there, because I can feel them.
They're still in hibernation is such a crazy thing.
Why? Why is it crazy? It's true.
I felt that. Mine are definitely in hibernation.
So anyways, we hope you enjoyed our conversation with Brandon from Ontario's Most Haunted.
Hell yeah, brother. We had a great time. It was awesome. It was fun.
I love all these interviews because it's like funny because, okay, so Brandon, like we mentioned previously, we had talked to him on a Zoom call before, but that was like years ago, right? And it doesn't matter who we're talking to, I always get just a tiny bit nervous because it's like, you know how when Riley was talking about Dakota's like gets nervous when he goes to conventions because he's like, hopefully I don't disappoint.
Right.
I always have that. I'm like, hopefully we don't disappoint.
Me too.
You know?
I constantly have a fear of disappointing people because it's like, listen, we're as real as it gets, right? Like, we truly are. It's just a matter of like, everybody has like weird days. Like, it all depends on how well you slept the night before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's just other factors included in it. So,
yeah,
you know, I may not always be 100%, but I'm going to try to be 100% for you, my sweet cheeking people. I don't know where the fuck that was going to go.
Exactly. So it's like, I always just get a little bit nervous. I'm like, I hope that whatever they expected out of being a guest on Fear Babes lives up to that expectation. And maybe they walk into it with none, but I'm just like, I hope we don't disappoint. So it's always fun when we get rolling with talking to people and it just goes as smooth as it has been for us in all of these interviews. And I'm just like, this is so fun. Like, I love this.
It really is. I love spending time talking to people that I may not usually talk to. So it's fun.
Right.
It's a great time.
It's cool. It's cool for sure. So next week we continue on with our paranormal investigation interviews. Paranormal investigator or interviews, would you rather?
Great job. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You did great, sweetie.
What is going on right now?
I don't know.
So next week we are joined by if you're a Fear Fam listener, you probably know who Allie is, but next week we're joined by our dear friend Allie. So we can't wait to have her on.
So excited. So
AKA
very
the
excited.
ghost girl.
So ominous.
So
So
can't wait
we're
to have
excited.
Allie on because, like I said, she's our dear friend. We love her very much, and I feel like that one is going to be a little chaotic.
I think it might be.
Yeah, it's always the best when it's chaotic. I mean, they're all chaotic. Let's be honest.
I was about to say, it doesn't matter who we're with.
We're the Fear Babes. That's our thing. We're just fucking chaotic.
You can't trust us with anybody.
You can't take us anywhere, to be honest.
No. We're just going to cause a riot.
A
That's
ruckus.
just how it be.
Exactly. Should have seen
I
them
don't
poor
make the
cowboys.
rules.
Should have seen them poor cowboys and Cody. They're scared shitless of us.
Yeah, they were. It was funny. more than just the those ones from the bar. It was a lot of them.
Yeah, but the ones from the bar especially. Like, I'm pretty sure we scared them off.
Oh, 100%. They were also little youngins, so
Even more reasons to be afraid of us.
they were old enough to be drinking, guys. Chill out.
Well, we were at a bar, so I would hope so.
We got
But-
marked with taco tattoos.
Oh yeah, the tacos. Do you want to talk about it? Just kidding.
Taco salad. So yeah, that's
Hi.
what we're doing. We're working with next week. We highly encourage you guys to check out our Patreon and our Etsy with our merch. Those links are down below wherever you are listening to. You should like, comment, and subscribe, and give us some feedback because we love to read your feedback. It helps us a lot. We also highly encourage you to check out our social medias if you have not yet. On all of our social media, X and Twitter, whatever.
I still call it Twitter, man.
It's Twitter, man. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everything is Fear Babes. And then, of course, our Facebook is Fear Babes Podcast. So if you're not following, you should, follow us. Absolutely.
We want to grow. We want to get better. We want to expand our horizons. And so, yeah, please do.
We hope you guys check that stuff out. We love you. And, yeah. Kisses.
I did kiss. Mwah.
Okay. Ooh, we kissed each other that time.
Ooh,
it was like
spicy.
It was like synchronized. It was so hot. Anyway.
Gosh. Okay, bye, babes. I gotta go.
Bye, babes. Chicken nugget time.